Hello guys, welcome to Global Happenings. Today we have a trending news here for you, and the headline of the news reads 22.7 billion naira president loan approval. Senators complain of Senate being an annex of Aso Villa or a rubber stamp. But before we continue with details of the news, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. Let's look at the news in detail.
The drama which played out on the floor of the Senate on Thursday was a confirmation of an uneasy calm senators in the federal parliament investigations showed on Friday. The Red Chamber had on Thursday, in controversial circumstances, considered and approved the report of its Committee on Local and Foreign Loans, which worked on the request by the regime of the President Major General Muhammad Buhari retired to borrow $22.79 billion. Findings shows that the Red Chamber that the many senators had been complaining about the alleged rubber stamp nature of the chamber, which the leadership remained resolute to maintain and sustain. A senator from the South-South geopolitical zone of the country, who pleaded anonymity because of the sensitivity of the issue, said on Friday that the trouble started when the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, announced that the foreign loan request would be approved. The senator said Lawan had made up his mind to work towards the loan approval even when the committee had yet to start work on it. He said it was the public declaration of the Senate president that made many of us to show apathy towards the debate on it, but we were prepared to make our position known before the final approval, which was done through the minority leader on Thursday. Another senator from the Northeast geopolitical zone, who also craved anonymity, said that the insistence by the Senate president that the Senate under his watch would always approve any request from the presidency was generating cold war among his colleagues. Many of us are no longer comfortable with the people's perception of the Senate as an annex of the presidential villa. The president of the Senate has said that his election was made possible by the leadership of the All Progressive Congress and the governors elected on the party's platform. Also recently, the deputy president of the Senate, Ovia Omo Agege, also said his victory at the Senate presidency election was made possible by President Muhammad Buhari and the embattled chairman of APC, Adams Oshomole. This shows that our presiding officers owe their unalloyed allegiance to Buhari and Oshomole and will do anything possible to satisfy their interests.
It is true that many senators are currently not comfortable with the situation, and that is why the minority leader, Senator Eninaya Abaribe, was talking about the suppression of minority voices, which the Senate president denied on Thursday. The bottled-up anger among the senators against the leadership reached its peak with the outburst of Abaribe during the consideration of the Buhari's loan request on Thursday on the floor of the Red Chamber. The minority leader stopped at nothing to accuse Lawan of suppressing the voices of the minority caucus just to satisfy certain interests. He said denying the senators their right to consider the loan request as it relates to the beneficiary before giving a blanket approval would be unfair to Nigerians. According to his word, he said, "Now we want to make our input. We have been told it is either we pass or not, and I think that is not very good for the economy of this country. You are putting us in a very impossible situation because you are telling us to pass, even though those things that we do not want to approve of. This is also about Nigeria. This is not about partisanship. If we are going to talk about partisanship, some of us have complained that this is lopsided and we didn't want to make an issue of it. I want us to ask if we take this issue item by item, because we cannot just wholesomely pass everything that comes. If we have to do that, we don't need to sit here and debate anything. Lawan, however, denied using his power to suppress the voices of the minority, he said, I don't want the discussion of this loan to degenerate into partisanship. This is for our country. You are behaving like the minority. You are behaving like the minority. Everyone is just listening to you. We should not be talking in the chamber based on political party affiliation. Unhappy with the situation after the closed door session, Abaribe left the chamber and refused to be a part of the decision to approve the controversial loan request. All right. And we just want to look at these. But before we look at that, let's look at what a spokesperson for the Senate said. That's Godiya Akwashiki. He dismissed insinuation that the Senate leadership was actually suppressing minority voices to satisfy certain interests. And reacting to the drama that played out on the floor of the Senate, Akwashiki accused Abaribe of playing to the gallery by trying to score cheap popularity. He also dismissed the decision of the minority leader to leave the chamber in anger, describing it as no big deal. He said, there is no big deal if the minority leader of the Senate walk out of the chamber. No law forbids him from doing so. It is not in the Senate rule that if a senator is going out, the Senate president should stop him. No law says that. As far as I am concerned, somebody must always occupy the seat of the minority leader or the majority leader for the legislative activities to continue in the chambers. I do know that after the closed door session, we passed the 2 recommendations of the party, of the loan. All right, and we just want to look at this in a jiffy. You know, it's really frustrating right now. If you had watched the video of what actually transpired between Abaribe and the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, it was so conspicuous that Ahmed Lawan did not want further discussion on the loan issue. Now, when they brought up the recommendation, the plea by Abaribe was that let us go through this recommendation line after line, look at each items on that loan request, and we know those that we will allow and those we will disallow, because these have to do not just with the president but with the generality of Nigeria, with Nigeria as a country. We are not going to be borrowing this money for just Buhari. We are borrowing this money for the country, which therefore means that tomorrow, if Buhari leaves the throne, whoever that comes on board will continue the repayment of this loan. So if it was taken for just a personal selfish interest, but hey, it's taken in the name of the country, and that will have a negative impact on the economy of the country in the nearest future. So he was demanding that every line of this request must be scrutinized, and then we can reach a consensus. There are some of those amounts that are there which we will likely want to cancel off, and there are some that we may need clarification on. Hey, as immediately said that this guy was angry. Lawan was very angry. He said he doesn't want further discussion on this. Before we know, it was a case of closed door meeting, and before they came out and they approved the loan. Now, looking at this, I know that a lot of senators, personally, I know that most of the senators are not happy with the train of events in the Senate, because when Ahmed Lawan came on board, most people were supporting this guy to come in, one of the northern leaders, because that one was looking very problematic towards Buhari. We were expecting him, I think it's from the northeast, we were expecting him to, Ndume was the person most people were expecting, because we knew that he would have been a boon in the neck of the president. We knew very well. But, somehow they play along, and before we know, Lawan, being a very docile man, came into the picture, and he's now the Senate president. And when he came on board, Nigerians started complaining that the way they are looking at this presidency of the Senate, it's very glaring that the Senate may likely be a rubber stamp Senate. Some also were of the opinion that this will be an annex of the Aso Rock, which therefore means it will be under the control of the executive. Just like it was said, we have seen a lot of things that have passed through, the Senate, that clearly shows that this is just a rubber band. And hey, if It's the Senate it's under the control of the executive. Then what's the meaning of the three arms of government? They are supposed to exist in independence so that they can check each other, serve as a watchdog over each other. But hey, that's not what is happening. And it's really a problem. That was why Abaribe complained bitterly. It wasn't on the grounds of party. It wasn't on the grounds of party. And if, just to show you that something was wrong some way, they had to enter into a closed door meeting. Now, before that time, if you had followed our trend of this thing, videos, you will see there was a video that we posted, or it wasn't really a video, it was detailed analysis that the reason why this loan, they have to speedily approve this loan and why they had to go into a closed door meeting was actually when the presidency came up with a suggestion that that the FBI will be used to probe governor turned senators, and that the report will soon be out. Immediately that was done. The next day, I heard that the loan was approved. So to some extent, most political analysts had to link it up to each other. Why is it that FBI is involved in probing some of these ex-governors who are now senators, and all of a sudden together they join force and approve it? Is it that it was a way of threatening them or something? Or is it that, before also now we've heard that there was some kind of padding for the budget, because by the time the president submitted the budget to them, what we saw in the budget, before the president gave to them and after the approval there was a huge difference. You know what? They added some more monies to it. Imagine, for example, the renovation of the National Assembly ranged to as much as how much. It was really huge. About, I think, 37 billion naira was meant for the renovation, of which Nigerians all over complain. But hey, it has been approved. So I believe at the point that these guys are working together, you rub my back and I rub your back. About some senators who are really, out there to defend their own people, who are really out there to make sure they leave a mark on the sands of time, like the likes of Abaribe. They are really, really uncomfortable with what is happening. After all, this same loan was brought up in 2000 when, during the season of, I think, the 8th Senate, when they were on board under the leadership of Saraki. Such thing, immediately they brought it up. Saraki said no, it can't pull through. Because they sat back, look at the content of, say, yes, it was meant for some infrastructural project, which was supposed to be completed between 2016 and 2018. But the guy said no, he cannot approve it. But this one, just like that, they approve it, just to tell Nigerians that, man, we cannot put so much confidence in whatever they are doing. There's a lot of fear right now, because if the attack on the Senate is actually true, that they are rubber stamp or they are the annex of the Aso Rock, then the possibility of turning the anti-social media bill into law is very, very high. And if that is done, it therefore means that Nigerians are going to be shut forever. The voices of Nigeria is never going to be heard again in the cyberspace, which is really, really bad for our country. But all the same, looking at it, thank God that the eyes of most of the senators are now open and they are not comfortable with what is happening. I believe that in the nearest future, maybe the vote of confidence might be vote of no confidence, maybe pass on the current Senate president. But we'd like to leave it there. Go to our comment section. Do you think that the current Senate is actually a rubber stamp Senate or an as